smiling straight face.
No, straight face for us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, I'm Paul Farrier, your host of tonight's show, The Negotiators. Here with me tonight, I have two teams by my side ready to duke it out to see who can bring up the best arguments in whatever topic I wish to ask them. The format is going to go a little bit like this. We have two teams here, both to my right and to my left. I will pose a question, they will give their opinion, and we'll see who comes out on top. The one with the least amount of points at the end of the round will be booted off the show to make way for our third contestants. Well, I think without further ado, we're ready to go here on The Negotiators. So I think I'll start it off with the hottest topic of every single day so far for the past few months, and that is the NFL. And gentlemen, as the playoffs grow closer, what are your thoughts on the upcoming playoffs so far? What does the bracket look like to you?
What do you mean with it?
Well, like, you know, how do
They
the
haven't
matchups
started
look?
yet.
How do the matchups
They
look?
are what they are. Teams fell where they were, and you are what you are as an NFL team. You got a top seed, you got a 6th seed for a reason.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
You guys over here?
I mean, I think you got to go with the surprise team of Cincinnati. I mean,
What are you out of your mind?
they got a rookie quarterback, a rookie star wide receiver, A.J. Green from Georgia. I mean, after last year, they go 4-12 last year, and this year they lose Carson Palmer, they lose Chad Ochocinco, who wasn't anything special this year, but I mean, he's still a Hall of Fame wide receiver. You got to think they're not going to be a playoff team, especially in that division behind Baltimore and Seattle.
Wait a minute. You said Hall of Fame wide receiver
In who?
Ochocinco.
Ochocinco. Have you seen what he's done with the Patriots this year?
Before this season,
Well,
he's an
before this
automatic
year, Hall of
Famer.
Fame is throughout your career. Let me tell you something else. You think a rookie quarterback and rookie wide receivers are going to go into Foxborough, to Gillette Stadium against Belichick and Brady and win? What are you, out of your mind, kid? Let me tell you who's going to the Super Bowl in the AFC. It's the New England Patriots. That's who's going. And you're crazy to think a bunch of rookies from a team like Cincinnati, a surprise team?
No, I'm saying
A
they're
surprise team?
I'm
What are you,
saying
out
they're
of
a
your
surprise
mind?
team to make the playoffs.
Well, you
I
said a
didn't- I
surprise
didn't-
team to get there.
Wait a second.
No, they're a surprise team to get to the playoffs in general. I never said that they were the favorites. In my
How
opinion,
about the Denver Broncos? Aren't
Tebow's
they a
horrible.
surprise team?
Tebow's, yeah, they're a
They were
surprise
one
team,
in-
but
That wasn't the question.
they were
Stick
1
to
and
the
4.
format. Can we ask them the question again, please?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue on any further here,
Illuminati.
as you can see things heating up, to my left, we have Mike, and Danny Shore as well on Team 1. Over here on Team 2, we have Matt Deppin to the far right and Paul Farrier nearest to me. So, guys, let's finish up this topic a little bit here. You know,
Can you repeat the question, please?
absolutely.
Can I stop the? Can I give
You-
my answer?
You thought
First.
what if I want to
the
give my
Cincinnati Bengals, and you think the Denver Broncos.
I didn't say the Denver Broncos.
No.
I said
Well,
New England Patriots.
so
No,
answer? You're
not-
calling the New England
Who-
Patriots a surprise
who
team?
is your surprise team
No,
in
you
these
said
wild
surprise
cards?
team.
Yeah, the
I'm looking
surprise
for the
team
team-
to
Oh,
make
it's got to
the
be the Denver
playoffs.
Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
Absolutely.
Now, as a team, would you concur with that together? Absolutely.
Oh, of course. How can you
Absolutely.
not?
See, I have to disagree strongly with that. If you thought that after losing Carson Palmer, Ochocinco, and
Terrell Owens.
the biggest three gigantic players, if you could possibly think they were going to make the playoffs after that with a rookie quarterback out of TCU, Andy Dalton, and for him to put up the numbers he did, it's ridiculous.
an excellent point,
Not
I
only
think,
that, the Denver Broncos play in the AFC West, a team whose best record was 9-7.
You got the Raiders and you got the Chargers.
But their
8-8
best
on
record
that,
was
Mike, 8-8
9
on
and-
that.
Was
Okay,
it 8-8?
You made it to the playoffs with a quarterback who can't throw. All they can do is run. Every team in the NFL knows all they're doing is running with an occasional throw, and they still won. And by the way, who's got the better defense, the Broncos or the Bengals?
Probably the Broncos. Exactly.
Defense wins in the playoffs.
That's why it's not a surprise team.
So why do you think
Talking
the
a
Patriots?
surprise
So
team?
why do you think the Patriots are going to go
But
anywhere
you
if
got to
defense
keep in
wins
mind.
in the
But you
playoffs?
got to keep in mind, and that's going to bring us to our next topic here. Is that the New England Patriots and the Green Bay Packers, 13-3 and 15-1 respectively, both have the
Oh, they
No,
won the last
13
game.
and 1. I want to make that
They
clear.
lost the last game, yeah. They won the
So
last game, yeah.
they have the top 3 offenses in the NFL with the bottom 2 defenses. That's unheard of in the
Pack-
NFL altogether. I mean,
Right.
The Packers have the worst defense in the league statistically. They've allowed the most yards per game and more points per game than the Patriots.
What's the question?
What I'm saying to you is, I'm giving you this as a factor for both the Broncos and the Bengals is, with the top-ranked offenses in the game, but the worst defenses, like, anything goes.
Well,
this year,
offense dominates the league.
right?
But
You
can you
just
say
said
that the Denver
you
Broncos
just said the
have an
defense wins in
offense?
playoffs.
Defense wins in playoffs unless you're the Green Bay Packers or the New England Patriots. But the
What
trend
about
this
Drew
year in
Brees?
the NFL was
Yeah.
offense. Drew Brees.
Who's the
Aaron
Best
Rodgers.
who had the best season quarterback-wise?
I would have to say Drew Brees.
I mean,
Drew
Aaron
Brees.
Rodgers didn't play the last game of the season.
He had a great season. Drew Brees had the best season.
I agree with that.
Thank you.
So we're going to go with a point here for Team 2.
Thank you.
Just to clarify that statement. So, you know what? Excellent debate. We're going to move on here,
Thank you.
if you guys don't mind.
Absolutely.
And I would like to bring up a point about the NBA.
don't know much
All right.
about it.
The NBA, you know, it was tough. We just got over a lockout, similar to the NFL, which makes me think we've seen a lot of injuries this year in the NFL. Many people say they speculate that it was due to the short off season, not being able to go to all the training camps and everything like that. But if you're a team like the Celtics, an older team, aren't you loving the 66-game schedule?
No, this is actually bad for you because when you're not in that training camp, when you not have those extra warm-up games at the beginning, when you don't have that preseason or the extended preseason, you're not getting the practice, you're not getting the conditioning that you need. And with someone when you're as old as the Ray Allens, the Kevin Garnett's, the Paul Pierces, what they need is they need to build up the strength to be able to go through that 82-game season. And it's not helping them.
Sorry, Danny. The thing about the 66 games is they're playing them in a condensed time period. Like, they've already played,
Right.
what, 7
Can I
games, and
answer
they've
this?
only been going since Christmas?
Can I answer this?
Right.
They played 3 games, and they're going to play 3 games in 3 days at some points. I predict when they play 3 games in 3 days, they'll go 1-2. They'll win the first one and then lose the next 2. They're tired.
They don't have the
But-
stamina.
But the same thing as last year, when it comes down to the playoffs, they're going to be there. I don't care if the Celtics get a 1 seed or a 6 seed or a 5 seed, they can still win. They still have their core of players. They still have Rondo, who, in my opinion, is a top 5 point guard in this league, and they're absolutely a
So you guys are
championship
saying
contender.
that they won't go unaffected by it.
Oh, I think it definitely benefited the Celtics
Really?
because the Celtics are a veteran team, Hall of Famers, who at this point in their careers don't need preseason or any of that jazz because they have their own off-season conditionings. One of the best conditioned athletes in the NBA is who?
Ray Allen,
Ray Allen. Who's he play for?
the Celtics.
And does he need preseason?
But you got to factor in. You look at
Okay.
Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett.
That's
over
fine.
the
And,
past few years.
But
that's fine. And the rest actually probably did their bodies good. Now, my point is this. It'll benefit the Celtics because they're an older team, yes, and it's a 66-game schedule, not an 82-game schedule. Now, really, for your top 4 teams in each division, 16 games really doesn't matter. It's more important for your 7th or 8th seed, not your top 4. And the Celtics will probably be in the top 4, so it's really not going to make that much of a difference in where they're seeded in the playoffs. So it's really going to benefit them because 16 less games for the older group is going to give them more rest. It's going to give them more rest, less travel. They'll be fresher. The back-to-backs, they just won 3 games in a row.
against Washington.
Doesn't matter. It's the NBA. A win is a win.
I understand
A
that.
win is a win. It's the
But-
NBA. You're telling me they go back to back to back. They're going to struggle. Every team is an NBA team. If they're tied and they're going to struggle, they will lose to the Washingtons. They did not.
No,
Well, with that said, hold on. I'd just like to say something real quick. With this condensed schedule, I know we're talking about the Celtics a lot, but you got to think, is it more of a wide open NBA altogether?
Oh, absolutely.
Or is it still just down to that 8 teams
No,
that
It's
we've
always
seen?
down to
It's
those
still
8 teams.
Team
It's
one.
always down
Team
to those
one.
8 teams.
it's still
Team one, please.
it's still Oklahoma
You wanna
City,
talk?
Miami, Boston,
You're going at it.
New York.
Orlando. If Dwight Howard stays, if Dwight Howard goes,
Well, he's playing this year, isn't he?
Yeah.
but
So we're
there's,
talking
there's a
about this
trade
year.
deadline. There's a
It's
trade
not gonna
deadline.
happen.
Well, assuming that he's there, they're absolutely a championship team.
Add in the-
Caliber.
Right, but,
Add in
but
the-
you're
add in
going-
the Clippers.
What you guys are saying is you're going based off of last
gotta
season.
talk here.
And year to year, it's different.
But can you name a team that really got substantially better other than the
Clippers?
Clippers. The Clippers were added into the mix when they got Chris Paul because Chris Paul is probably the second best point guard in the league behind Derrick Rose. But the Lakers are still going to be there even though they're getting older and it's a different coach.
They
They're
traded
still
Lamar Odom.
Yeah, but they're still going to be
They
there.
still if you
They
have
still
Kobe,
have Kobe. When you
my
have
point
Kobe Bryant,
exactly.
when you have Kobe Bryant,
That's my point
you're still a
exactly.
championship caliber team just because you have Kobe Bryant. Guy wins. He's got
Team
5
two,
titles.
Negotiate.
What is the question again?
I mean, is it still an open NBA?
Of course it's open. Every year's open. You never know what's going to happen.
But how come these guys are saying it's still down to the same 8 teams?
It most likely will be. You got to factor in injuries. What if Kobe Bryant blows out his knee? LeBron James breaks his ankle.
They've got Dwayne Wade.
But Matt Deppen, is this NBA lockout
Absolutely wide open.
going to affect just how wide open it is? I know things change from year to year, but what about the lockout? How does that play into this?
The teams that are newer together, such as the Clippers, they're not going to have the time to practice with each other. It's going to hurt them more. It's going to hurt the Celtics.
Right.
They've had years to work with each other. So for the Celtics, it's going to definitely benefit them. They don't need to know the plays.
Or the top 8 teams who have been together for a while, have a comfort zone with each other, need less time, less games, less training camp to perform as a cohesive unit where the teams that are new, that need to mesh, won't have that time, i.e. the Miami Heat of last year.
That is an excellent point.
Thank
Team
you.
2.
But Miami may not
Look at
have
my
won
son.
the championship, but they still beat the Celtics. They still beat the Bulls. They still made it to the finals. They lost to a good Dallas
That's not the
team.
point.
But you're saying that
You have
teams
three-
with no chemistry, you're saying teams that don't.
It took them
Three
It
great
took them
players.
probably 55 games to get where they were. The teams now don't have 55 games because game number 55, you have 11 left. You're in big, big trouble, just like your team.
Okay. Any final words? Any final words over here?
I'm not saying that the Clippers are going to be a championship contender, which I think they will be because they've got Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Chauncey Billups, but the league is still condensed. There's still only a certain amount of teams that have what it takes. I mean, you look at Memphis last year. Memphis came out of nowhere, but they didn't make it. They made it far, but they didn't make it. But
Fine. Okay.
Boston, the Lakers with a healthy Kobe Bryant, Oklahoma City, and Miami, and you can throw Dallas and San Antonio in the mix, but not
I'd
really.
like to answer the question. Is it a more wide open NBA? Absolutely, because there's a lot of young teams with new and exciting players that are going to make a difference in the lower echelon of the NBA
Okay.
for
I
this
think
year.
Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a moment and let you know that if you're not already watching this on Raynham Public Access TV, you can access the show, The Negotiators, on the raynhamchannel.com. Well, before we start closing up here, I want to bring it back to the NFL real quick because the wild card weekend is on the horizon. So with the wild card weekend coming up in the AFC,
answer
you
first?
have Houston, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh going in Denver. Who would you take in both of those matchups and why? So we'll go with Cincinnati and Houston first.
You got to honestly right now. You got to take Cincinnati without Matt Schaub at Houston, with the hot Andy Dalton, the Bengals are coming in unbelievably hot. There's nothing that the Houston Texans are going to be able to do without to
Not
stop
even
them.
with the TJ Yates.
No,
I mean,
TJ Yates,
Foster.
Aaron,
Jake Delhomme.
Arian Foster, who's
Jake
hurt.
Del-
Dave
Jake
Delhomme,
Delhomme
One
who's
of the
played
best
one
defense-
game all
one of
year
the best defenses in the league. At
with
home,
no offense.
with an inexperienced rookie quarterback, wide receiver,
Just
spells trouble for the Bengals.
So
inexperienced
spells
rookie
trouble for
quarterback
the
who played half the amount of games as Andy Dalton. TJ Yates played from week 13 on, and he's your starting quarterback going into the playoffs. I'm not saying that Houston doesn't have a shot. Their defense was the best defense in the league, in my opinion, this year.
Right.
And they've got Arian Foster, who struggled this year, but is still Arian Foster.
It's the playoffs.
It is the playoffs. So my point is, you've got 2 rookie quarterbacks going head-to-head, but you've got a team that played together all year with that rookie quarterback in Cincinnati, who's got a decent defense, not as good as Houston, obviously, but you've got a team that his quarterback got thrown in after 2 injuries. He's the 3rd-string quarterback going into the season, and he's your starting quarterback. I'm not saying that they couldn't win, but in my opinion, Cincinnati is
Okay,
the favorite to win
My
that
point
game.
for you is you've got a Houston defense that's played together the whole year, one of the number 1 defenses in the league.
So
Without their best player.
I'll
At
take
home.
it. I'll take it as
Without
this
their best
then.
At home.
I'll take it as this. The team of Paul Farrier and Matt Deppen is going with Houston, and you guys are going with
Cincinnati.
We'll
Are
see
we
how
going
that
with
pans
Houston?
out. Well,
You like-
oh, okay.
Oh, okay,
Well, there you
good.
go. Some team chemistry building over here.
That's right.
So,
I love you.
well,
I
with
love
that,
you too.
we'll go to the
You want to marry
Denver
me?
and Pittsburgh game. What do you guys think about that?
Why
Pittsburgh.
did they go first? Can I go first? Can-
Pittsburgh?
No, let them go first.
Oh,
Let them go
yeah.
first.
Pittsburgh's gonna blow them out, obviously.
Yes. Well, obviously Pittsburgh's going to blow them out. Denver has played well against the lower echelon teams in the NFL. When they play against a upper echelon team, they really don't fare that well. We got Pittsburgh's defense against Tim Tebow. They're going to figure him out.
Even at Denver's home?
Even at home at Denver. Just look. Did you watch Denver play? Did you watch Denver play? That's not NFL football.
killed by the
Tim
Patriots.
Tebow is going to get crushed. That offense is one-dimensional. You want to play one-dimensional against the Steelers? Whether you want to pass or you want to run, chances are you're going to lose. And Roethlisberger, with this group of receivers in the running game, it's over. It's over.
What running game?
Mendenhall.
Mendenhall's not playing.
Doesn't matter who.
Roethlisberger can barely walk.
Doesn't matter who they put on there. In there, with that offensive line,
As-
they'll run the ball.
as
They
much
will
as it
run the
hurts
ball.
me to say,
Roethlisberger,
I hate-
You
I
watch
do
what
not-
happens.
We're going to team one on this.
I do
Don't
not
mind.
like Tim Tebow at all, but he's gonna put up a shot. He's gonna give them a fight because no matter how much he's a running back as a quarterback, he is an absolute winner. And there's without Mendenhall, without Roethlisberger, and you can't count out Broncos defense. They have a very good defense with Roethlisberger who can barely walk right now. You're not gonna.
You've got.
Wrap it
All
up.
right.
You've
Wrap
got
it up.
Vaughn.
You have to.
All right, so we've taken care of business here. Team one saying it's Tebow time once again. Team two taking the Steelers. Well, unfortunately, though, one of these teams has got to go. And it looks like Team two is leading the way with 6 points and Team one with 4. So unfortunately, you guys, you lose this negotiation. I'm going to have to give you the boot and make way
You guys talk.
for Team 3,
I'm scared.
starring
I'm scared.
Andre Faria.
Andre, Tim
And
Tebow, I love
Nicholas
Jesus
Faria.
Faria.
We'll see. Coming up next on the Negotiators. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on Raynham channel. Now to my left, we have a new Team 2 and the defending champion to start out. They are now Team 1. So to my left, let me introduce them. I have the great, the wise, Andre Faria.
Great to be here, Paul.
Thank you. And Nicholas
ladies.
Faria, his teamaate.
Wonderful to be here.
You guys have any opening remarks? No? Okay. So, without further ado, let's get this started. I'd like to kick it off once again with the NFL just because something popped into my mind as we went to break. And that was Drew Brees not only breaking, but smashing Dan Marino's single-season passing yard mark. Team 2, do you think that Drew Brees' record is watered down at all, illegitimate, or is it a record that stays for many years to come as Marino's did?
Well, as you know, Paul, as everybody knows who follows the NFL, every single game could be considered a Super Bowl because at any given time, any team could win at all. No, I don't think we should detract from Drew Brees' record. I think he did a spectacular job. And it's not just about getting out there and throwing the football. It's understanding the mechanics of being a passer, and it's having the team around you, that talented core of receivers that actually assisted and helped him get to where he's at. Given that any quarterback with a great core of receivers can go for that record. Brady came close. Same thing.
Nick, do you have anything to say to that? To aid your
Absolutely.
partner?
This is a passing league now. The league has changed from a run-heavy, good defense, winning league, to a pass-heavy league. From now on, the teams that pass are going to break all the records.
And do you know
But
why
will
it's
they win in the Super Bowl?
Do you know why it's become a passing league, Paul, as someone who's followed football for years? It's because it's more exciting, and people love to see the passing game. After a while, the running gets monotonous. But the teams that are going to win in the NFL are the ones that can mix it up and be successful.
Doesn't that water down the record, though? Because back in the day, wasn't it harder to throw the ball? Now that it is a passing league, doesn't it make it,
Do I get
you know, what do you think about that?
What is the question again? Because I lost track with this.
Well,
The question was about Drew Brees.
Team 2
What's the question?
has made it clear that Drew Brees' record is, in fact, not watered down,
Oh,
even though we are in a pass-happy league.
oh, well, that's exactly why I would consider it watered down, because we are in a pass-happy league. Okay?
Right.
You go way back, Johnny Unitas, Bradshaw, Marino. They didn't throw the ball as much as a Drew Brees, a Tom Brady, an Aaron Rodgers. Those records weren't attainable for them because of the style of play.
But you're still playing against NFL defense.
You're still playing against LVD. But Matt, you want to interject on this?
The rules have completely changed. You can't touch the wide receiver after 5 yards. So that way, wide receivers going over the middle have an easy chance to pick up easy yards here and there.
You can't hit the quarterback.
That's the Patriots' style of play underneath the linebackers. Wes Welker.
You made a good point.
I usually do.
The NFL wants the fans to see a pass-happy league. So they've twisted the rules to put that into effect. Is it watered down? Could be a bit.
But
if the rules of the game were the rules of the game of the Marinos and the Uniteds and the Bradshaws, they wouldn't achieve these records.
Well, let me just give you my perspective
done.
from history.
I'm
No,
not
but I'm
done.
gonna compliment your point.
I-
Let me
One
compliment
second.
your point
No,
here.
because then you'll get a point and I
Because
won't.
the league
And I don't
has
want you to get a point.
changed from year to year. So we could say that 10, 15 years ago, it was a different league. Now, would they say 10, 15 years ago that the league was watered down from the previous decade?
No, because
You
the records
can't.
weren't
Right.
being broken.
You have to take.
It's such a drastic change.
Right, you have
from
to-
the United States to the Bradshaw days. There wasn't such a drastic change.
correct.
In stats and numbers,
but
there is now.
you gotta
There's
think
a
of it,
reason
though.
for that.
Back
Well,
in
why
the
is the
day-
reason? And
And
that's my
I'm going
point.
to tell you something else. Expansion had a lot to do with it too. Is the league watered down? You're damn right it is, because you got more teams with less quality players on them.
See, and
okay?
I disagree.
That is watered down.
I disagree
okay?
because I think that as society changes,
Oh, we're not talking
so
about
does the
society.
NFL.
We're talking about
And
the NFL.
and
It's a
NFL
game. Don't tell me about society.
And the NFL
I'll tell you
has
about
changed
society.
too.
I
All right,
grew up
gentlemen,
in the hard knock
all right.
streets of Taunton.
You've
That's society.
You have negotiated your point well. However, I'm going to
Tell
segue
me
that
about
into,
society.
while we're talking about Drew Brees,
Good Lord.
it
Society.
also brought up the points about, Tom Brady throwing 50 touchdown passes 4 seasons ago. Aaron Rodgers coming extremely close this year. But with Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, it's safe to say it's not Tom Brady at this point. I don't want to make any unrealistic guesses, but who's your MVP? We thought it was Aaron Rodgers clear cut right away. Who is your MVP now at this point?
It's got to be Aaron Rodgers. I mean, for the Aaron Rodgers threw 150 less passes than Drew Brees. 150 less passes. Give him 150 more passes. How many yards does that equate to?
Well, not even look at the touchdowns.
Or the touchdowns.
46 to
Or the
45.
touchdowns. He would have broke Tom Brady's record.
So would you say
this is my
that
time.
without Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers would not be where they are today?
You
Without
saw Matt Flynn throw for
saw him
480
throw a
yards and 6
record-breaking
touchdowns.
game.
with a team that really didn't care. The team.
What team didn't care?
The team they played didn't care.
Detroit Lions are trying to still get into the playoffs.
They were in.
I mean,
They were in. They were in. They didn't care. They didn't want to injure any of their players either. I'm sure they didn't have their full complement of players on the field also. And you're going to tell me that Matt Flynn is Aaron Rodgers? Let me tell you something, my brother. I know Aaron Rodgers, and Matt Flynn is no Aaron Rodgers. Did you watch any of the games the Green Bay Packers played this year? He absolutely was in his zone and dominated
Yes,
this league.
I agree. I don't
absolutely
disagree with you.
dominated this league.
I don't disagree
So
with
your question
you.
is, who is the MVP of this league?
yes, sir.
It's definitely Aaron Rodgers.
I would agree with that. Aaron Rodgers is an MVP caliber player. But think about this. Just as Aaron Rodgers brought that team almost single-handedly into the postseason, we
and
could
won the Super Bowl last year.
Correct. We could say the same thing about Tom Brady. Eleanor Roosevelt had this quote. She said
Who's that?
she said that poor minds speak about people. Good minds speak about events, but brilliant minds speak about ideas. And that is what I think the Patriots have in their corner. They have a brilliant architect in Bill Belichick.
That's not the
they
question.
Have a brilliant, I'm getting to my point. They have a brilliant system there. So, yes, while I agree with you that Aaron Rodgers is the MVP this year, there is no doubt about it.
That was the question.
Tom Brady is a close second. I think a close second.
Oh, absolutely
even
not.
Even
Even
ahead of Drew
Drew
Brees.
Brees?
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
agree with
Because
this?
if you think about this,
Matt?
if you think about this,
I love Tom Brady, don't get me
Drew
wrong.
Brees, would you say that the Saints have a better defense than the Patriots? Of course they do.
I don't know about that.
So it was a combination, mostly, I would agree, mostly of offense and with some defense. But it was Brady single-handedly that brought this team into the playoffs, and you cannot argue that.
Let me tell you something.
logically.
There is no I in team.
Wait a
What
second.
about
Wait a
Gronkowski?
second. Wait a second.
What
wait a
about
second.
Hernandez?
These
What
two
about
are
Bill
simply
Belichick?
factoring
What about,
in the
Will
numbers.
Falk?
If we can deduct a point, we can always do that if you'd like.
Why? He
And ruin
sucked
the
it over
chances,
here.
you know. Nicholas.
And you did.
Uh,
You selected a point for me.
take a time to. These two have brought up phenomenal points about
You
both
deducted
Aaron
a point from me,
Rodgers,
Paul.
Tom Brady. It's the negotiators. Anyway,
Don't talk, when I'm talking, don't talk over me, Andre.
you got to think. The MVP. This has been such a debatable topic over the years. Is numbers versus impact
Step
on
in
their
here.
team.
Save us.
You could say whatever you want about Aaron Rodgers carrying the Packers into the Super Bowl last year, but where would this team be without Tom Brady? Where would the
Wait a
Patriots be
minute,
without
you're
Tom
being-
Brady?
You're being biased
What do you
and
think?
impartial.
They would be in the mix. They wouldn't be the number one seed. They'd still be in the playoffs.
told
Will
me
they be as
that's what it
dominant? Probably not.
But doesn't
Oh,
that
no,
strengthen his case? They have the number one seed. Doesn't that strengthen his case as an MVP, even with Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers in the mix?
You really think the Patriots would make the playoffs with Tom Brady?
Without Tom
With that
Brady?
defense? What are you, out of your mind?
Yes.
Not a chance. The second to last worst defense in the league would make the playoffs without Tom Brady.
Look at 2009. It happened.
You just told me he was MVP.
No,
you're
we're
arguing
talking
he
about the
was
playoffs.
just the MVP.
No,
Wait,
I
we're talking
want to
about the
know.
playoffs.
You
I
just said he was
want
the
to
MVP.
know
He was
if
what
we
carried the
should-
Patriots.
Listen
I-
to the question,
no,
brother.
I
Listen to
want
this
to
question.
know if we should factor in the impact on their team
Yes.
more so, more heavily than the statistics that we bring into
Yes.
the equation.
Absolutely.
Because Matt Flynn threw 6 touchdown passes in the last game of the year.
No, well, it has nothing to do with it.
Absolutely not.
No, I
Look
was
what- look
making
what his
that
backup
was
did.
another point I was making to refute yours. The point he's making is that Brady's impact on the Patriots has more of an impact into bringing up the case of him being the MVP.
His team's level of
Yeah,
play
abs-
makes more of a difference than Aaron Rodgers' level of play to his team. Of course, absolutely.
That's my point. So you agree
So,
with me?
do we
So
have
get
to
a point.
factor
Great.
that in more than we weigh in the stats? You got to think Aaron Rodgers.
We should, but unfortunately, that's not the way it works. You win MVP of any sport mainly through what?
Stats.
And who's got the best stats? Who has the best stats?
Aaron Rodgers.
So therefore, Aaron Rodgers should be the MVP, or he will be the MVP because that's how it goes.
But
not the fact. Not so what? You could have another quarterback on another team that made the playoffs, and you say, well, if it wasn't for him, the team wouldn't go as far as they did. The thing is, who should be the MVP of the league? They go by stats. Most touchdown passes, most yardage, wins is a factor.
Yeah,
Most wins.
we're on the same page
Most
here.
wins.
I agree with
better
you.
complete-
But could
I
you
agree
go
with
with a
you. I
co-MVP
agree
like
with you.
2003 with Peyton Manning and Steve McNair?
You could.
Could we do
you
that?
could, but because my point is
different league.
because Aaron Rodgers so dominated the league this year for so long, and don't forget his team was undefeated for so long. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I agree with you. I think that Aaron Rodgers, without a doubt, is the MVP. But don't
but I got
discount
1
this
point.
factor.
They got 5
As I
points.
said, every day could be a Super Bowl. Every single game.
Talk about something else.
All right. Recently, on a Chicago talk show, Troy Aikman made the comment that he cannot believe how horrible the Patriots' defense is, and the only reason they're in the playoffs is because of Tom Brady. Now, my point is
Green Bay
this.
Packers, same
My point
thing.
is this. Don't you think that Bill Belichick is going to take that soundbite and play it all day for 2 weeks to motivate that defense? That's my point, where every game is a Super Bowl. Every game is a new beginning, especially
That's
in
not
the
what we're
playoffs.
talking
And
about.
you can motivate.
That's not
Yes,
what
the
we're talking
Patriots have
about.
talent. Yes, the Patriots
That's
have
not what we're
discipline.
talking
Yes,
about.
the
We're not
Patriots have
talking
the
about the
know-how
Patriots.
on how to
We're not
win.
talking
But
about the Patriots.
The
We're
X
talking
factor
about the
is
essence
MVP.
of the X
the
factor.
X factor is the ability to motivate these players, not only to execute their X's and O's, but to motivate them to have the desire and the heart and to win and be the next Super Bowl champs.
Andre,
All right, well,
Andre, Tom
with
Heine's
that
a new
being
football
said,
coach.
With that being said, Paul Ferry, before we deduct any more points while you guys are still in the race, I I'd like to take it to a new topic.
was-
Throw you guys a curveball, something we haven't covered yet today.
Some baseball? That would
And
be
that
great.
is Major League Baseball.
Thank you. Excellent.
You guys are on a roll here talking about the Patriots and Tom Brady, so we'll keep it local. Team 1, how do you feel about Terry Francona's demise, the demise of the Boston Red Sox, who were on pace to break so many records, and the entrance of Bobby Valentine, a personality like that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think Terry had to go. He lost the clubhouse, he lost the team. You deserve what you tolerated. He tolerated a lot in that clubhouse. The discipline was not there. The effort was not there. He's the man that's responsible for that, ultimately responsible for that. Players are responsible for themselves and their actions, but ultimately it's the manager's responsibility to make sure everybody toes the line and the team is where it's supposed to be.
But Matt, 1 second. You go back and you have people, your ace, like John Lester, mentioning that, hey, or Josh Beckett even, saying, hey, this stuff was going on in 2007 when we were winning games. So why would it be any different in 2011 than it was in 2007? The talent was there. Why would it be any different?
You have new players. You have Carl Crawford coming in. These players coming into Fenway Park. You can't just let them get away with this stuff. You got to set them straight from the beginning. And them getting away with this just hurt who they were as a clubhouse. They didn't have no chemistry.
Point taken.
Winning breeds silence. You win, everything gets washed over. You start losing, everything goes out of the woodworks. You didn't hear anything about this while they were on a roll and doing well. The minute they started to falter, everything creeps up. Bobby Valentine will be a refreshing new face in the clubhouse because he will not let the players get away with what they did. Granted, some of them will not be there, but he will bring a fresh new attitude, discipline to the team that they need.
So you agree with it?
I agree. But not only that, the other factor that Bobby Valentine brings, especially to Major League Baseball, now that he's left the broadcast booth and goes to the field, is his dynamism. The fact that he plays to the camera and that he wants to be seen. So you can bet he's going to be making decisions and he's going to be making things happen on the baseball field so that they, in fact, will increase the ratings because ultimately that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
And I think he's so colorful that it's just going to be a joy. I know a lot of people think, well, geez, the Red Sox have won 2 World Series in my lifetime.
Can't be enough.
What else is there to do, right? But I agree. I mean, I think we have to keep striving and to try and, this is our childhood team. We used to as kids play ball and imagine we were at Fenway Park, and I think that lives deep in the soul of the fans in New England.
Right, but I know personally, well, he agrees with the move of Bobby Valentine.
Oh, great.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
but
good.
what it comes down to is, I went to the ballpark a couple times during the 2011 season, and something about it, the atmosphere just wasn't quite there. And, when they play the Yankees, you expect the greatest rivalry. It seems like that tension in the air just isn't there right now. What is that? How can you bring that back?
Well, I think this offseason brought it back. I think that when the problems in the clubhouse were exposed, which incidentally travel all the way up to the upper management and ownership, but we won't go there because we know that there were problems there as well. But when now you have a team that has been roiled in controversy, now you've got the beginning of motivation. And people are going to say, well, was this Terry's team? Or was this Theo's team? But they're going to see now that Bobby Valentine is going to motivate them to be the Red Sox, not anything else.
It'll be Bobby's team.
Bobby would like that.
Point
It's
taken.
going to happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a friendly reminder, we are here with the Negotiators on the Raynham channel, both the raynhamchannel.com and on Raynham Public Access TV. We have Team 1 with 1 point and Team 2 in the lead with 4 points. And that is going to segue into a hot topic of debate over the past decade, let alone past few months, past year. And Team 1, we're going to start off with you. Hall of Fame ballots, Royd era, asterisk near everybody's name. You have Roger Clemens, lying in court. Barry Bonds, who knows, being indicted. Their names come on the ballot. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens more namely. Do they get in to the Hall of Fame? Yes or no? Why?
That's a good question. Tough question. I'm sure my brother will agree with me because we agree on a lot on this topic.
Matt, what do you think?
Well, if they put an asterisk, special place in the Hall of Fame for the steroid era, do that.
But aren't you glorifying it instead? I mean, you can't.
I would say no. They do not belong in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
They absolutely do not belong in the Hall of Fame.
Matt?
Period.
I would disagree, and I'll tell you why I disagree. Because in times past, technology advanced to such an extent that people's habits, and I know we're talking about
about
drugs
cheating.
that is not popular. Well,
Cheating.
you can look at it as cheating in a perspective, and in
cheating.
some perspective, I agree with you. But if almost every player, which they strongly believe was the case, if we're talking about 75 to 80% of the players using some type of performance-enhancing drug, then that kind of levels off the playing field.
Well,
That's
well, not really, because level off the playing field. The way you get
Across the board.
The way you get into the Hall of Fame is by breaking records of previous players, previous eras. If you are cheating using performance-enhancing drugs, you're not breaking the records of your peers, but of players past. Therefore, it's cheating and it does not belong in the game. Put Barry Bonds without steroids and see if he can break Babe Ruth's record. Mark McGuire without steroids.
But
He's not.
But that's not the point.
How? But
I
you
know
got to
that- I
pose
know
the
that
question.
Everyone's cheating.
You got to
so it
pose
should be
the
wiped out.
question. You got to pose the question. Is
Roger Clemens.
How did they get to the MLB on talent? Barry Bonds was
They
talent
got
long
all of them
before
got
this.
on talent.
And you got to think about it. Bill Belichick. We'll go back to the NFL. Bill Belichick changed with the times. He made it a pass-happy offense in a pass-happy league.
But
He set the precedent, I
But
would
he's
say.
not cheating.
Well-
But it wasn't cheating. You're talking about Hall
But
of Fame
is it cheating if everybody's
cheaters.
doing it? Of
course
that's
it
the
is.
thing.
Of course it is.
Ba-
If everybody's stealing, is it not stealing?
No, that's a good point. But
It's still stealing.
But with Barry Bonds, what it comes down to is you're saying that you're relying on steroids alone for all this.
Not alone, but to get to the level of Hall of Fame status, most of these players needing performance-enhancing drugs.
Would
If
you-
Barry Bonds is an exception, and Roger Clemens also is an exception. They would have been there anyway, which is foolish on their part. For the majority of the players in this era who are in that Hall of Fame category, performance-enhancing drug steroids, whatever you want to call it.
Would you say that Major League Baseball athletes in the 1950s outperformed those who played in the 1920s? Absolutely.
Outperform, of course.
Would you
Of
say the
course.
players in the 1980s outperformed some players in the 1960s?
Factor in the weightlifting.
Well,
Exactly.
I would say
the enhancement-
not as a.
The enhancement in weightlifting techniques, remember in 1975?
Players
when
didn't lift weights.
Fred
Fred
Lynn
Lynn with the
brought out the
Nautilus
Nautilus program,
program.
okay? It was brand new.
That's
What a
not
spectacular-
cheating. That's all natural.
It's development,
okay?
exactly.
But
It's a way
but
to
the
enhance
jump-
your game.
I understand, but the jump was so far greater in this era than in any other era.
But you're not talking about 2 or 3 players using steroids and the rest not. You're talking about 8 out of 10 guys
you
using
don't know that.
some type.
You don't know
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
You do not
Have you
know
been
that.
listening to the
You-
news
you were
over the
former
past
priest,
few
and you're
years?
gonna accuse
Have
like
you been
that?
listening
More
to the
importantly,
news?
have
you.
you been watching the Negotiators?
You
to
a
see-
former
to
priest.
have
Shame
your
on you.
answer?
Accused
I
like
mean,
that.
You're a former pastor.
Blessed are those who believe without seeing.
And blessed are the pure in heart, which you do not are.
Do not are.
Do not are.
Well,
No.
okay. So this is obviously still a hot topic of debate, regardless of the point in time that we're at, whether it's a couple years back, whether it's now. But we're gonna go with one last topic.
Don't put thought into it, Andre.
We're gonna go with one last topic, and what it's gonna come down to is something that you may be unfamiliar with, and that's gonna be NCAA football with the national championship right on the horizon. Okay.
My glasses on for this one.
My final question to you guys
That's
is:
good.
should the NCAA go to a playoff system, or should they keep it the way it is now, chance it, factor in all these things? Playoff system or not? What's the deal?
I think it's sad that what used to be such a pure game where we'd encourage young athletes to play the game for the sake of the game, for winning, has now become a marketing enterprise and blatantly a feeder system for the NFL, which I originally don't have a problem with, but you're starting these guys out now to be, you know, it's almost like the minor league for the NFL. And so do I think we should make it a playoff? Well, if you're going to start treating players who play in college like the NFL minor league system, then I suppose so. But if you want to keep the game pure, and that's why a lot of people enjoy college football, at least they used to, you're seeing that less and less now, then I think that if you want to see the game pure, then you don't have playoffs. You continue to do it the way they've been doing it for years.
Nicholas, do you have anything to help bolster your team's chance at this final point?
No.
Nothing. You are going to pass it on to
Going to
Team
pass.
1. Team 1.
I believe there absolutely should be a playoff system. It has nothing to do with a farm system for the NFL and blah, 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 blah.
Of course it does.
We have, you rank your teams.
Look at all the passes
Teams
in the NCAA.
paying. College is paying.
Teams 1 through
Look at all
20.
the quarterbacks
These,
who are passing. Oh,
you have, every year you have conflict. Who's number 1? Who's number 3? Number 3 should be number 2. Number 2 should be number 1. The reason they do not have a playoff system is because of the bowls and the money put into the bowls, the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl. Millions and millions of dollars involved in that.
You know how much more they would make
What
if they
you
had
do,
playoffs?
please, Father, what you do is you incorporate the bowls into part of your playoff system. Then you will definitely have a definitive number 1, number 2, number 3. Like the NCAA basketball tournament. Do you understand how much money that draws? March Madness, big revenue for the NCAA.
Let's not get too carried
They could
away
do
yet.
it. They could do it with the college football programs.
Matt Deppen, anything
And
to
get a-
help
and get a
bolster your team's
defined
chance?
champion.
Anything to help bolster your team's chance at this final point in the final round of the first episode ever of the Negotiators? Anything, Matt Deppen?
Yes. Where you're ranked is very subjective. If you have a playoff ranked system where you can, so you have the
my
first
point.
first 8, you have the first 8 teams. Each round you can have it named after a bowl. You can get it marketed that way and get it so it's not just one game. It's not just a bowl, but you move it on to a different bowl. You can't just win one bowl in the season. You can move on.
Right.
So it should be definitely a playoff system.
Okay. So we're gonna go Team 2. Yes or no answer. Playoffs or no?
I say no.
No playoffs. Team 1. Playoffs or no?
Absolutely.
I say yes.
Yes. So we have both a yes and a no. What a way to end the show. Well, with that being said, I have been given the great blessing, if you will, to determine who the final winners is. And hopefully, for people watching this show, not only on TV, but online, I hope that you can agree with this decision.
You're my son.
I believe that the point
I'm gonna lose.
is
It's gonna go with
going
this Godfather.
to go
It's gonna go with this Godfather. It always does. Shouldn't
to
go.
Team 1. They brought up excellent job, you guys. Anything
No, naughty.
that you would like to say to the camera as a final victory word?
I just want to say, Matt and I, thank you very much for having us part of this program. Thank my brother for quite a challenge.
Great.
And once again, I win. My godson, Nicholas, thank you very much. And this team over here, you posed somewhat of a competition. And Raynham at TV Access, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here. And that, don't forget to visit us on Route 28 in Middleborough. Truckee Supermarket's hoping a new store in March.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to the first episode of The Negotiators. We hope to see you extremely soon. Have a great night and a great rest of the week. Thank you very much.
Was that live? Was that live? Was that live?